Today we're going to take a look at the plug-in hybrid version of the Corsair. The Lincoln of Draper is providing us with this Corsair, so I'll include a link to their website in the description down below. Let's get right into it. Powering this is a 2.5 liter plug-in hybrid. It produces 266 horsepower. The MPGe rating is 76. This can get 33 miles per gallon without charging it up. And then it can go 27 miles on a charge. If you're looking for more straight to the point reviews like this, make sure you subscribe. Now when it comes to the top section, you can see the lights are pretty angular. You do have a couple lines there on the hood, but design overall is pretty simplistic. And here on the fender, over on the driver's side, is actually where the charge port is for the plug-in system. But back to the front end, you've got that fancy Lincoln grille with the logo there in the center, and I've always liked these little lights that Lincolns have below the headlights for the turn signals. 245 by 45 by 20 for the tire and wheel setup. The wheels are all blacked out. You got nice body painted fender flares. Corsair badge there on the side. You got the blacked out mirror cap. You guys can see that the pillars are blacked out. And then here is the side profile. And you can see the pillars being blacked out in the front and the rear kind of makes the roof look like it's floating. Key fob features, we got our lock, unlock, remote start. You got the opening for the hatch. And then we have the Lincoln logo there on the back. Got these little buttons to fold down these seats. The seats will fold down flat, which is definitely a nice feature. And then spare tire underneath. Now one downside, just a 12 volt in the back. You know, usually hybrids, they'll give you an upgraded outlet, but they did not do that with the Corsair here. Pretty big light bar there on the back end, and they still do the same exhaust tips on the hybrid as they do on the non-hybrid. That will cap things off for the exterior of the Corsair. Let's now check out the interior. So it's regular windows in the back. This is nice with the trim, and you got the fancy stitching below. Nice finish on the handle there. I like the speakers for the sound system. Seats are perforated down the center. You got this like gray coloration on these ones. Legroom back here is good. Got a little storage net. Heated seats for the rear. Some vents. Got some charge ports below that. And then we do have a panoramic sunroof in the back. Let's now take a look at the front. Blind spot monitoring. You get thicker glass up front. This is really nice with all of the trim. And then you can see we've got memory seats. You've got your power adjustments with the seats. All of your window controls. The mirrors do power fold in. And then the seat is perforated all down the center. Pretty nice looking, I think. Like the recessed wood trim. We do have a little light control there, and the steering wheel is power adjustable off to the side. We'll start up top. We got the heads up display. There's some soft touch on the dash. The steering wheel, it's got the big old Lincoln logo. You've got practical controls here in the front face. This has the thing where you click the cruise control and then it... Let's try that again. It lights up. So it's kind of like a little fun trick. Paddles in the back, but that doesn't mean the voice command control buttons there like on the steering wheel. Digital cluster here for the center, and then this is where the drive mode animation will come through. Yes, you have the Excite drive modes, you know, somewhat customizable with the cluster. 360 camera system with this as well. And then as for the rest of the infotainment system, it's pretty quick to respond. Something to note, there's going to be a little bit of lag because there's a cover over the screen. This one, oh, I thought this would come with massage seats. Man, the pricing on this is actually kind of crazy now that I'm looking at more things. Let's see if it has cooled. Yeah, it does have cooled seats though, at least. But anywho, below that big screen thing, we've got physical kind of toggles for the transmission select. Some shortcut buttons below. You can see for the volume control too. Got some storage down below with the phone charging pad, some USBs. Drive mode select, the cup holders, got your parking brake. Center console's big. I do like the trim here on the top. And then other than that, just a regular rear view mirror. And then we do have a panoramic center. 2026 Grand Touring 2, 68,485. Let's see how the Grand Touring performs. Well, Grand Touring. I just reviewed a loaded up Corsair before this with the turbo, and that had massage seats, so it's like you get less features, and that was 62. You pay a lot. This is the biggest downside about plug-in hybrids, is you pay a lot for them. And that's why I'm kind of more of a traditional hybrid person in terms of what I think we should focus on, because plug-in hybrids still have really big batteries. Great for driving range, not so great for availability, right? It's much easier, like you can build so many hybrids in terms of the materials for, you know, how many materials it takes to build just one plug-in hybrid. And then yeah, one EV takes up so much. Yeah, the more that I learn about the whole, I've known about the supply stuff for a while, but the more I learn about it, the more I kind of realize that, yeah, the standard hybrids is kind of the most feasible right now with everything that's going on. You can have some EVs, it's just that you can't be all EV, that's for sure. Yeah, this is nice. Yeah, that's pretty seamless integration, and it was pretty snappy on. It's definitely loud though. That's the other thing about plug-in hybrids. And hybrids can be pretty loud too. But yeah, plug-in hybrids seem to be the loudest when the engine's on. Seats are comfortable. I really do like this wood trim. I think it's nice. Wish more automakers still did wood trim. It's kind of sad everyone's going for the cheaper materials nowadays. I mean, 266 horsepower doesn't feel too bad at all. And again, the biggest benefit of plug-in hybrids is going to be the driving range. Like, you got to plug it in all the time. If you don't plug it in all the time, like, you're not going to get much benefit out of it. You might as well, again, buy a traditional hybrid, because that's really what you're driving. But you paid a lot more for it. And I'm guessing that's why with the new Lincoln Nautilus, it's a traditional hybrid. It's a turbo 4-cylinder with some hybrid assist. Now again, you know, fuel economy is not as good. That gets like 30 miles per gallon on average, so you do lack some fuel economy, and you obviously don't get the driving range. But what you do get is no change in lifestyle. You don't have to worry about plugging in ever. All that you got to do is just fill it up with gas, and when it runs out, fill it up again. And you just fill up less. Well, it depends. Some hybrids are going for such small fuel tanks that you actually don't fill up. Like, you fill up just as often. It's just that the fill up time takes less. Like my Lexus is like that, where it's got a super small fuel tank, so I have to fill it up like all the time, but then I'm only putting a few gallons in here and there, so it's not as bad. I think Ford's hybrids are kind of underrated in terms of they do a good job, like the performance is good. They just don't have the reputation that Toyota has with the reliability. That's the biggest thing going against their hybrids. If they had a better reputation, and you know, I think the power boost kind of hurt them a lot. That hybrid in the F-150, because that had so many electrical issues, now everyone kind of associates Ford with hybrid issues. So it's a nice setup. Like I said, the plug-in hybrid tax is steep. I mean, I think you can even get like that Nautilus hybrid that I reviewed. That's like the best argument against this. That Nautilus hybrid I think was like 70. It was a nice car. So it's like you go to the same manufacturer and you can get a bigger car that has the giant dash screen. And again, I'm not a techie person, but I get the appeal to this stuff to people. So you get that giant dash screen. I could definitely see how people would go, well, I'm going to go for the Nautilus. Yeah, I won't be able to plug in, but also I don't have to worry about plugging in. So let me guys think about plug-in hybrids in general, and then also this Corsair plug-in hybrid. Almost 70 grand for a itty-bitty SUV.